Signature Global.
They are meant to also provide, in effect, public infrastructure. So the exchanges, the clearing corporations, the depositories, the systems that they run are not proprietary in the sense of there being just like any other systems of any other private organization. They are in the nature of public infrastructure because these entities have a lot of regulatory protection. So given that they have a lot of regulatory protection, they are expected to run their systems in the form and manner of it being a public infrastructure and not just their own proprietary systems. The third area of their operations is really to act as a first-level regulator. So they not only need to be very careful about their own compliances with the regulations, but also to look at the compliances by the registered brokers, by the registered DPs, by the listed entities. And it was the committee's finding that perhaps these three different roles that the MIIs have were not getting adequate and equal importance. So a lot of what you are seeing as the manifestation of the working committee's report is that each of these three pillars of the role of the MIIs to function as a profitable, viable commercial entity, plus provide public infrastructure, plus function as a effective first-level regulator, all these three things need to be delivered. So that is really the central thought, and it is reflected in almost everything that you see here, whether it is the proposed structure of MIIs, the nature of board governance, the accountability of the KMPs, the code of conduct, and this is, an important piece. You would have noticed on page 3, item number 12, that board members and KMPs will be held accountable if they are aware of wrongdoings but have not appropriately reported the same. Because you're not just another entity, you're a market infrastructure institution, and if you become aware and you do not report, then you are complicit. So this is a very important part of governance and code of conduct. And overall, therefore, the objective is that this should bring in much more balanced operations of the MIIs with a lot of transparency and accountability. We then move on to item number 2, which is the buyback of securities. I think that has already attracted a lot of interest. I think somebody in the media reported that SEBI has picked out its favorite mode, and which is true, because we feel that the tender route is the more equitable route to buyback, and that the other routes are vulnerable to favoritism, let me say, because nobody really knows that in the exchange mechanism, when is the company going to come in order to buy back the shares, and only a few people may be aware of it, and benefits may flow to those few people. It is not an equitable mechanism. And in that context, we are therefore seeking to phase out the stock exchange route for buyback. But in the interim, since we don't want to have any knee-jerk reaction to anything, and we have given a glide path, in the interim, we propose that there will be that minimum utilization of the earmarked amount should be increased from 50% to 75%, which means that if you announce a buyback, you must at least do 75% buyback. And also that there will be a separate window on the stock exchange. It cannot be nebulous, and it matches with just anybody. There is a separate window for buyback, and that will also assist going forward in terms of identifying the tax-related issues, which are important in the whole buyback mechanism. The tender offer route, we are trying to optimize by reducing the timeline, and you will notice that one of the things that we have done, in SEBI, we've spoken about ease of doing business, of business process re-engineering, and you would have noticed on page 4 that we are completely removing the requirement of filing a draft letter of offer with SEBI and awaiting our observations. It's just eliminated. So there we believe that this is a already listed entity. It has ongoing disclosure requirements. They are making public their intentions, and there is no